with ALEKS. So I can tell you from a mom standpoint that it is definitely a program that is a difference maker for students in the classes. So since there are so many of you all that are not really familiar with what ALEKS is, I just went to the ALEKS.com site, and you guys can do the same thing later on. Don't do it now. But you can go to ALEKS.com, and that's ALEKS, because this stands for Assessment and Learning in Knowledge Spaces. That's why there's a K in ALEKS there. And so if you were to scroll down a little bit, I'm going to actually play this video because I think it's really important to kind of set the stage to exactly what ALEKS is. And it's only a couple minutes long, and that is exactly where we are going to start. Hold on, let me get the sound going here.
This is ALEKS, an artificially intelligent, web-based learning and assessment system. To understand what makes ALEKS the most effective learning system ever created, let's look at the science behind how it works. Science developed over decades of research at top universities. Let's take a look at Sam, a 9th grader who is struggling with Algebra 1. The first thing ALEKS needs to do is determine Sam's knowledge state. Sam's knowledge state is everything he already knows in Algebra 1. To get a basic understanding of what goes into computing a knowledge state, let's pretend that instead of consisting of several hundreds of topics, Algebra 1 only consisted of 5 topics. But even with only 5 topics, there are 32 possible knowledge states, or combinations of these topics. Now, some of these states are so impractical that in reality, there are actually only 13 feasible knowledge states that a student could fall into. All the feasible knowledge states are organized into a learning space, a mathematical structure specifying the relationships among the knowledge states and showing which topics a student is ready to work on. To move from one knowledge state to another within the learning space, a student must learn a new topic, or forget a previously learned one. So our example involved only 5 topics, but if we look at the full Algebra 1 course, consisting of hundreds of topics, there are over 1 trillion feasible knowledge states that a student could fall into. ALEKS can accurately and efficiently assess where each student is among these trillions of knowledge states and know their exact position at all times. This is no simple task, and it's a task that hasn't been achieved by any other program. All of this works because mathematical cognitive scientists and software engineers at ALEKS have spent years gathering data from millions of actual students using the program. This data allows ALEKS to construct all the feasible knowledge states and how they're structured together into a learning space, leading to personalized pathways to course mastery for every student, no matter where they start. It all begins with a brief individualized assessment. Using learning space theory, ALEKS intelligently chooses each question based on the student's responses to all previous questions to determine what the student has mastered, not mastered, and exactly what topics he is ready to learn. The student sees their knowledge state as a multicolored pie chart, which lets them know what topics are available to explore. Everything happens step by step, one topic at a time, as ALEKS continually updates Sam's knowledge state and ready-to-learn possibilities. ALEKS constantly watches Sam and records his successes and failures, and this information is used to guide Sam along one of his optimal learning paths through the trillions of knowledge states in the learning space. Only ALEKS has that power. Because of this constant evaluation, ALEKS only presents topics that the student is actually ready to learn. ALEKS challenges the student without frustrating or boring him, resulting in tremendous learning momentum and increasing confidence. ALEKS will periodically assess Sam to make sure that he is retaining the material he learns. Research shows that periodic assessments not only ensure retention, but actually increase it. A cycle of individualized assessment and adaptive learning continues throughout the course to ensure that Sam has truly mastered and retained the concepts presented. At the conclusion of the ALEKS course, Sam will have a deeper understanding of the material. This is ALEKS.
We don't need to watch that again. So I just like to kind of always start off.
An artificially intelligent
Goodness gracious. I like to start off and kind of show that video. And again, it's available right at the ALEKS.com site that's there, and it just kind of really explains the baseline of why we do what we do. ALEKS is a program that pairs just perfectly right alongside the Reveal Math program. So Reveal Math contains all of your grade level material, or your course level material, and it contains content that's for students who might be a little bit above, or for students who might be a little bit below. You're going to get all of that within Reveal. But for those times when we have students who are a lot ahead or maybe even a lot behind, that's when it's perfect that this actually gets all put together when people choose to use Reveal with ALEKS. And kind of the secret that I tell people all the time is that because it adapts to each student, it is as if every single student in your class has a personalized teacher that says, hey, I think a few years ago, you might have missed this, and we're going to fill in any of those gaps that students have, because all students come, especially as they get further up into the high school courses, there's a couple of little weaknesses in their foundations, and ALEKS will be able to find where those weaknesses are, not only solidify that foundation, but also encourage students to go even further. So lots of things that are there. For those of you who are new to ALEKS, I want you to know that if you come to that main page and you look underneath course products, you can see exactly how many different courses there are and those types of things that are built into here. So when we look at the course products, you can kind of get a really good idea of all of the different levels that we have. And ALEKS contains content from grade, it's really right now from about third grade topics all the way up into pre-calculus topics. So most people utilize it alongside of a middle school course or a high school course at this time, but you can see all of the different courses that have been built into the ALEKS kind of platform here as well. And if you wanted to get any information about any of these courses, you can simply click on the little I that's here, and it'll tell you about what that course is. And then if you choose the arrow next to it, it will actually show you the topics that are there. So, and I'll get into a little bit more and explain what topics are. But I will tell you that the most commonly used courses that are here are going to be the middle school course 1, 2, and 3. And those are going to be the courses that go hand in hand with Reveal Math Course 1, Reveal Math Course 2, and Reveal Math Course 3. If you have students who are performing below grade level and you need to catch them up quickly, a lot of districts will put students into this Focus on Middle School Foundations 1 to get them as quickly. It's kind of a ramp up into what they need to for 6th grade. And in Middle School Foundations 2, it's to get them into grade 7 and grade 8 math as quickly as possible. So these are the kind of the newest of those types of courses, but these are the ones that are most commonly used at middle school. And as I scroll down, and people pick different ones that are there for different reasons, but as I scroll down into the high school ones, of course, you're going to see that there is going to be a traditional algebra 1 here. So I've got algebra 1. There's a little bit of a difference. You might just want to look at the standards or what's covered inside of traditional algebra 2, or I'm sorry, the traditional algebra 1 versus regular algebra 1. There's high school geometry, there's algebra 2, there's even an algebra 2 with trig. Now, the most commonly used ones for students who are a little bit behind are going to be the High School Foundations 1 and the High School Foundations 2. And those are to really get kids kind of ramped up into those courses. We also have a lot of people who will use things like the high school preparation for Algebra 1 as well. But again, to find out exactly which one you want to use, you can click the little arrow that's next to it, and you'll see that these are all of the topics that are included. So the curriculum itself that's here has got 412 topics, and people think, oh my goodness, that's so many topics. But I want you to know it's because it takes all of the topics that our students are learning and it breaks them down into the smallest possible chunks. So when we're talking about the distributive property, that's actually 4 different topics, because we're multiplying a constant by a linear monomial, we're doing whole number coefficients, then we're doing integers, and then they're factoring those. So it always breaks it down into little small, minute little topics that are there to make sure that students have every single bit of that. So they're not getting tripped up just because the question or the answer results that the question results in a decimal answer or a fractional answer versus maybe having a integer kind of answer that's there. So lots of great support that's built in for the students. So those are the topics. Those are the things that are there. So how will you get ALEKS started with your students? And I know for those of you who do have ALEKS, that's been some of the questions that are there. So I have a separate login here that I have done where I have logged into as a student. And again, you can do this same exact thing. If you want to try to do this on your own, don't do it right this second. But if you go, when you log into aleks.com, if you go to free trial, you, of course, are going to start as instructors and administrators, and then you can try the student module, or you can try the instructor module. Don't do it now, but for now, I want to show you what it's like to be a student in my class, in my ALEKS class. So the great thing about ALEKS for students is that it is personalized to each and every student. It looks for the sweet spot where they are in their mathematical journey. So it lets students know from the beginning, it's personalized for you. It figures out exactly what you know and helps you take the right path to success. And that's really important that kids understand that this is not about a grade so much as it is about finding out where any kind of weaknesses are in your foundational learning and really kind of solidifying all of those. It does start students off with a tools tutorial, and here is a key point. With the tools in ALEKS, when students are answering questions, there are no multiple choice questions, or as I like to say, multiple guess questions. The students actually have to do the mathematics that goes along with it and input their answers in a variety of ways. So the first thing we're going to do is be sure that they understand how to utilize the tools. This is something that will take your students probably about 5 minutes to be able to do this. So they're just learning how to input their answers, how to change their answers. And so because the fact that there is no opportunity for them to kind of guess their way through this, we need to be sure that they have that true understanding. So it will walk them through. I'm going to skip through a little bit of the tutorial, but I want you to know that it even has kids doing things like being able to plot points and draw lines, those types of things. So it really has a wealth of different types of questions. And as a bonus, it actually brings up a built-in calculator. The students will see the calculator here on the right-hand side. They'll see a calculator whenever whenever it's a question that the students might need a calculator for. So hopefully they wouldn't necessarily need it for 31 plus 9. But it will give them that if that's not really the content that's there. So again, about 5 minutes, they'll unlock the tool, they'll finish the tools tutorial, and they'll unlock what's called the initial knowledge check. And some of you might have students who are here at this point. Now, the knowledge check itself brings up some really key points. And if you have a pencil and piece of paper, I want you to write yourself a couple of notes about things. Again, it reminds students that it's personalized for them and that we already went through this little part that's here. Hold on. And so when we start our knowledge check that's here, one of the things that they need to be sure that they are doing. So my first tip for you is make sure the kids understand they still need to have pencil and paper. Even though it's something that they're doing online, they still need to write out and show their work as they go through. In this initial knowledge check, they also should realize, and they will realize early on, that because it's personalized for them, they need to be sure that they stay focused. If they glance at someone else's computer while they're doing that, it's okay, because even this knowledge check is personalized specifically for them. But this knowledge check should take them about 45 minutes to do. It should not take any longer. For a couple of kids, it might. But the great thing is if they leave off partway through, it will bring them back to where they were. So you don't need to worry about that. But they need to take their time and try their best. They should only use a calculator when this icon appears up on the screen. They don't necessarily have to use just the one that's there, but if you're letting them use handheld calculators, you want to let them know to be sure to try to only use a calculator whenever it says that it's a calculator type of question. And if they're not sure how to input their answer, they can always use the little question mark that's there. So the initial knowledge check is up to 30 questions for the students to do. So again, the tools help is there if they need help in being able to answer the questions. This is up to 30 questions in length. And again, it's looking for where are they in their mathematical journey? Where's the sweet spot in their progress to where they're at? So as they get questions correct, and I have a super secret button for today right here that lets me go a little bit faster. But as they get questions correct and input their answers, at the initial knowledge check phase, they're not getting right or wrong. They're not being told whether their answer is right or wrong. It simply is choosing the next question based on how correct their answer is to this question. So I want you to notice that I started and told that I was an Algebra 1 student. So I'm going to get a couple of questions in a row correct, and I want you to see how quickly the content starts to escalate. So it's going to start getting up into those Algebra 1 topics to say, maybe you've seen some of this before. So they're going to go through, they're inputting their answers, and as they get those questions correct, it's just kind of saying, okay, let's push a little bit higher. So again, we're getting into solving some quadratics here. And if they miss this question, it's going to just go back and kind of readjust and find a different little path to kind of go down. So again, it's looking for that personalized path for every student. At the end, I'm going to choose this one that says that I have little knowledge, because at the very beginning of the year, the students would they would actually have little knowledge of that course. And then it gives them a little bit of a walkthrough. And basically what this is saying is this pie chart, that is what ALEKS is most known for. The colored area is the content that they know, and the gray color is what I like to say is the gray matter that they're still going to add upstairs. So it has taken my Algebra 1 course and it has broken those topics down into 489 little micro topics. And that's because some of them are Algebra 1 topics, and about 25% of those topics are going to be topics from prior grade levels, those prerequisite skills. So in a perfect world, if your students were, they knew all of their math and they had tried their best on doing that, they might have about 25% of their pie already done. Most of the time, it's somewhere between 10 and 15%, because everyone has some prerequisite skills to work on. But that is in general why they have some of these topics already pre-mastered. And again, you can see what those topics are that are here. Now, then what it does from that point is it starts a personalized pathway for every single student. So let me just kind of click through some of these really quick. So in their path, it's going to present them with content, and this content has been specifically chosen for that individual student, and it has said this is the topic that you are most likely to be successful at learning. So based on that journey, this is what the student is most likely to be successful at learning next. In fact, research shows that if students follow their path and they work on these topics in the order in which they're presented, they will be successful with those topics between 95 and 96% of the time. And that's really important because for some students, this will be the first time that they are good at math, because it makes sure to find exactly where they are in their journey, and it makes all students good at math. And that's why I think it's a great kind of accompaniment that goes along with Reveal, is because Reveal is the course level content that you need to be working on. But ALEKS is saying, hey, I noticed that there's a couple of kids who are here, and let's get them on their own personalized path. So in this case, the students will see a full explanation of the content. Sometimes there's extra information that's kind of built in there for them. They can even ask for another explanation that will give a little bit deeper understanding. So here we're going to see it with number lines. So we saw it with 2 color counters. We see it with number lines. And then they say, oh, okay, I've got this. They click the start button, and it gives them an opportunity to answer the question. So in this case, if they get it correct, I'm going to get that answer correct, and they click check. Watch right up here across the very top. When they get that answer correct, it gives a little celebration moment and says, keep going. All right, I'm really good at this. So I'm going to go answer this question. I'm going to get 2 in a row correct. Now, again, watch up here across the top. It's going to tell me, woo, I got double credit for that. And when a student gets 3 in a row correct, it's going to take this topic and say, congratulations, you have learned this topic. Keep up that amazing work. You have learned this topic. And then they continue on with their path. Now, that path has been determined by what they're most likely to be successful with. But all of these topics, if I click this little arrow, this shows all of the topics that the student is ready to learn now. So what are the topics that they should be successful at being able to learn? What do they have the prerequisite knowledge to be successful with? So if by chance we were getting ready to move into the module on exponents and exponential functions, cool. There's some things that for those students to be able to work on immediately. But I want to show you what happens when students miss questions. So in this case, now I've moved to integer subtraction. Or maybe I get one right here, and then the student says, well, I don't want to do integer subtraction anymore. Or maybe as a teacher, you've told them that you want them to work on things that are with, let's say, linear equations, because that's the module you're getting ready to work in. If they click on linear equations, these are the topics, and it could be different for each one of your students. That's why it's kind of just that great additional resource that's there. But you tell the students you want them to work in linear equations, they switch gears, and they didn't lose that prior correct answer that's there. It'll always be there for them when they go back, but they've moved more into what you want them to be working on to support what's in class. They get that explanation, but watch what happens when they get questions wrong. So I'm going to miss this question. And you're going to see that the first thing it's going to do is give kids a chance to try again. Great that ALEKS realizes in math, we're supposed to make mistakes. Hopefully we learn from them, but we're supposed to make mistakes. So, but let's say that the student didn't learn, and watch this area up here. I'm going to click recheck, and it's going to turn yellow. So as a teacher, it's an indication to you that they've missed one question. When they go into more practice and they miss another question, they again get an opportunity to try again with that question. Again, if they miss it, watch up here in this upper right-hand corner. It'll actually turn to an orange color. So we're in kind of more of a caution mode now. They go into more practice, and they're going to get an opportunity. And if they miss a third question in a row, it says to them, no, this is going to turn red. And watch right here in the center, it's going to say, let's take a break. So it won't let the students continue to get questions incorrect as they are working. And now it simply takes that topic and it puts it at the very end of their tray of topics that they are ready to learn. So if I look at this part here and I look at ready to learn, there's that one credit I still had left over, but it took that topic and it put that topic on substitution for linear equations all the way at the very end. So it says, I still believe you're ready to do that, but maybe not today. So again, the best way that teachers utilize this with Reveal is that they want their students, we still want our students working in their personalized path, but I need them to work on things that are going to support what I am teaching, what module it is that I'm teaching. So again, if they click Ready to Learn, they scroll down here and you're getting ready to move into functions and lines. This student has 8 topics that they are ready to learn on functions and lines. Some of them may be beyond what you're doing in class. Some of them may be the prerequisites to what you're doing in class, but it still has them within that same domain of learning. Keep in mind, if you have students who are significantly behind, maybe you're getting ready to move into polynomials and factoring. Notice right here that this student doesn't have any topics because they don't have the prerequisite knowledge to be successful in that. And I'll show you how, as a teacher and teacher reports, that is exposed to you that can help drive instruction in the classroom. So again, students are working in their own personalized path. That is the most common way that students are utilizing it. This path is the path that they will be successful with most of the time. You'll see that there will be different topics and different domains interdispersed in there, but if you want them to work on a particular one, they can just go down and click to work into that one. The other part that's really nice about this and that makes it a great support piece for students is that when they are working in ALEKS, they get this explanation. Then they get an opportunity to see a problem that they can try on their own. But if they're not sure about this, or maybe they missed this question, they check that answer and they're like, but I really thought I did it right. They can ask for an explanation at any time, and it will give them a full worked out step-by-step explanation to that exact problem that they were working on. When they go back to more practice, it will give them a new problem to work on. Now, over here on the right-hand side, notice that this is a problem students should be able to do without a calculator, but there are also support videos built in. Not every topic, but most of the topics have a support video that's built in that students can watch that will show them how to do the content. And so you might recognize some of these are the tutorial videos that are in Reveal. So it's great that students can see it in Reveal, but then they can also see it within their ALEKS experience as well. Now, the other thing that's here, two other parts that are here, there is a dictionary that will let them understand the terms that are here, and it even goes back to prior terms, and that should be very helpful for all of your students. But then when you actually have this and you tell it, the system from the very beginning, that you are in a Reveal algebra course or a Reveal 7th grade course, whatever that is, there will be another icon right down here, right in between these two, that looks like a textbook. And the students can click on that and it will tell them where this lesson, where this topic is taught in their Reveal math textbook. So it goes really hand in hand with supporting exactly what they're doing. So they get the great content that's in the book, but then they also get the support for whatever they need, whenever they need it. They can click right here, and this is how it always brings them into learning mode. You do have the option to create some assignments, but I will tell you that as you are getting started, the best thing you can do is to just have the students be in learn mode and use your day-to-day assignments coming from within Reveal. All right, let me switch gears real quick. And so while I'm doing that, Suresh, are there any questions about the student experience from any of the teachers?
Hello, so far it's going really well. I think there is one that has been, so ALEKS is a good source of RTI or MTSS on their own. Is ALEKS included in our resources or purchased separately?
So Alex,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say that it's an add-on. So ALEKS is an add-on. It will have to be purchased separately, but it also depends on what your school has opted for. So I think a good idea would be to find out from the school, do we have ALEKS in our Reveal math? Like, which option do we have? Because sometimes here in the schools, a lot of times they do have ALEKS, but the teachers sometimes don't know about it. So it'll be a good idea to check with the school if the ISBNs that you're using are with ALEKS or without ALEKS. It's just a simple question, like the ISBNs that your school is using are with ALEKS or without ALEKS. Because we have two options.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And so you can see when you kind of log in, you can see that there's a couple of different things. When you try sign as a student, there is an option that says outside of the US. But for today, and since I'm in Florida, I'll just do it from a Florida perspective that's here. And I click continue. And so this is the teacher experience. So I like to show this because there's so many different reports. I can't possibly show you all of the reports, but here are all of those kind of ALEKS courses that are there. So again, my Reveal course 1, course 2, course 3 are corresponded to those. And then if I scroll down here, there's my Algebra 1 course. So what happens is that you get this great dashboard for each one of your classes. So here you can see your ALEKS Pi report from your students. You'll see the activity time breakdown. So you won't see anything in that pie until your students do that initial knowledge check. But I always like to show teachers who are utilizing this that this is kind of like the apps on your cell phone where you can actually there's actually a second page of great information. So what are the students most ready to learn? What topics have they tried? How are they doing in any of those modules that are there? And so you can actually customize these. So maybe you don't need to see this class information and you want to move that to the second page, or even if you wanted to create a third page that's there, but you can see you can make this dashboard exactly what you want it to be. So a lot of teachers like the pie report there. How are my students doing? Time and topic. Who hasn't logged in lately? How are they doing on their pie? And just kind of overall in the course. If you are utilizing ALEKS, you'll definitely get more in-depth kind of training on exactly how to use it. But I want to show you a couple of things that are super important here and how this really works with Reveal Math. So if I just roll my mouse over the part that says reports and I look at my ALEKS pie report, I can see as I scroll down, so this is what my pie looks like as my students are working. So the colored area, again, is the content that my students know. So this is my fake data that's here. So just imagine these are my students. So the colored area is the content my students know, and the gray color is the gray matter that they're still working on. This little sliver of information that's right here, this little sliver part, that lets me know that those are topics that students have been working on. So the sliver, the lighter color right there, are things that your students have learned. So when I went through as a student and I did that whole topic and I got 3 in a row correct, that means that it went into my learned bin. So as a student, once students have been in ALEKS for 5 hours and learned 20 topics, it will trigger what's called a knowledge check for them, a progress knowledge check. It automatically does that. No, you don't have to do anything with that. So that's that cycle of learning and assessment. So they work in ALEKS for a little while. After 5 hours and 20 topics learned, it gives them a progress knowledge check. And if they pass all of those questions that are there, this darker color will fill into this edge. So this little part right here gives you a general idea of where your students are working on in their personalized pies. That's what that extra little part is right there. But let me show you how this really relates to what you're doing in a Reveal classroom. So as we scroll down here, if I am getting ready to teach my students about, let's go down here to exponents and roots, a little further in the year than probably you are right now. But if I'm getting ready to teach exponents and roots, and I look down here, there is some great information that you get from ALEKS. So these first 2 columns let you know what % of your students have mastered the content, meaning that they've learned it in learning mode. They've shown mastery of it on that knowledge check. So if I am planning tomorrow to teach introduction to the product rule of exponents, guess what? 100% of my students already know it. So I always recommend that teachers do what I call a touch and go. You can click right here on the topic and you can see what the topic is. Maybe I project this to my students. We work through this problem. Again, I can show an explanation of it if I need to see an explanation of it, but I can click and I can even try another. So if I want to do a touch and go that just walks through 3 questions really quickly, we don't even have to go into the Reveal Math book because they already show that they know this. So they should be able to just answer those questions and we can utilize that with our students. But as I scroll down just a little bit, look at this one, product rule with positive exponents, multivariate. What does that mean? Oh, those types of questions, multiple variables that are going to show up inside there. And so look at this, 78% of my kids already know it, leaving 22% that don't. Oh, well, that's really telling. Wouldn't it be nice to know who those students are? Because if I continue with whole group instruction, these are the kids that are probably going to be answering the questions because they already knew it. But if you click on any of the numbers in ALEKS, it will show you who those students are that have not yet learned that topic. So when I look at this, I have 7 students out of my 32 in my class that have not learned the topic. So I could choose to do some small group instruction with just these 7 kids, or maybe I continue with whole group instruction, but I'm looking for the light to turn on for these 7 students. These are the ones that I'm going to focus in on. They don't have to know it. I'm not going to tell everybody, okay, it's just you guys, but I get a really good picture as a teacher as to what is happening with those students as I'm going. It really helps to inform the instruction. It's this third column right here that is really amazing because it tells me which of my students are actually ready to learn that topic. So the fourth column is who's tried it and not been successful. In fact, let me scroll up here just a little bit. Who's tried it and not been successful. So when I look at that same one that's right here, product rule with positive exponents, these know it, these don't, but oh my goodness, none of them are ready to learn it. So that means that they don't have the prerequisite skills. So for these students, these 7 students that I have here, I'm probably going to have to go back a couple of steps to get them to where they need to be, which in a lot of places is going to, these kids are going to be the ones trying to chime in the answers. So I think this is really important for informing that instruction. So what do you do with these 78% of these kids that already know it? That's when you let them either move into Reveal and do their homework that would be scheduled for tonight. You might choose to give them some of the extension activities that are within Reveal. You might actually also just tell them that you want them to do some more work in their own personalized path in ALEKS. All of those are good ideas to do because you really want to focus on what these students are going to need to be successful. Now let me scroll down just a little bit and show you what happens when we have a difference here. So if instead I'm teaching evaluating expressions with exponents of 0, so 3/4 of my class already knows it. So this is what I tell teachers. Get a note card or a Post-it note and go to this column that's right here. And when I look at this column, I see that I have 8 students. So you're going to get that pen and piece of paper and you're going to write down the names of those 8 students who have not yet learned it. Those are the kids that I really want to focus on. But when I look at this number that's right here, out of those 8 students, only 6 of them are ready to learn it. So I go back to that list, I check off the names of the 6 who are ready to learn it, and I circle the names of the 2 students who are not yet ready to learn it. Oh, what do you mean they're not quite ready to learn it? I need to teach that today. Where do I go to get assistance for those students who are not quite ready to learn a topic? Well, that's where you go over to Reveal, because ALEKS will eventually catch them up, but I need them to be ready today. So whether I'm just looking for a resource that supports the 2 students that are not yet ready to learn it, or whether I'm looking for a resource for these 7 students who are not yet ready to learn it, I can go over to Reveal. So I've just moved to another tab that's here and I'm in my Reveal platform now. So when I go to Reveal, if I was going to be teaching, let's come back down here, I'll go to that module 8 with those exponents and roots. If I'm in module 8 and I need to be teaching multiplication properties of exponents, when I'm at the lesson level itself, if I scroll down here, so here are my digital file folders. If I look underneath my additional resources and I scroll down just a little bit, you're going to see things that are called Review Learn and Review Example. These topics right here are addressing the prerequisite skills. Notice that right there, the prerequisite skills. So for those 8 students, or however, I think I had 7 the first time. We go back over to here. So for these 7 students who have not yet learned it and are not ready to learn it yet, I go to my Reveal course and I find the resources that address the prerequisite skills. I can click right here and click assign, and I can assign it to just those students that need that part that was there, just those 7. Or maybe I decide instead I want to add this to my lesson for today. So if I had, in that case where I had those 7 students and that I really wanted to do some small group instruction, I can go to this review, learn, and review example and simply add those into my presentation for today. Or I could just pull this one up by clicking on it. I'll move my teacher notes off to the side, and I actually have my teaching resource that's here. So in this case, there's a great video that explains that prerequisite skill that goes along with it. So that is one of the greatest uses of being able to utilize these review learns and review examples is by utilizing our ALEKS data, or if you don't have ALEKS, for those of you who don't have ALEKS, I want you to know that you have like prerequisite skills tests that you can use, the pre-test that goes with each one of the modules, or your own intuition tells you, oh my goodness, my students have struggled with this, or maybe you taught the greatest lesson of your day and you're kind of thinking, they're not quite understanding what I'm talking about. That's when you want to use these review learns and review examples. They really support that part that's there. So these are before I'm teaching in Reveal. And as I scroll down and we're staying in those additional resources that are there, there's an extension activity. So you remember in my ALEKS experience, I had these kids right here that already know this topic. I don't want to teach that. I might come over to Reveal and I might assign this extension activity to them. So again, let them work further in their pie, let them do this extension activity if I needed to, and don't forget that every single module in Reveal also includes a performance task. So you might choose, and let me scroll back up a little bit. I might come over to here and I might go to my module itself. And at the module level, under review and assess, I can come down here and I could assign them this performance task for them to do. And I've got a great rubric that goes along with it. So just as again, one more time, if you have students who have already learned the content, your ALEKS data tells you that they've already learned the content, a couple of things you could do. Let them continue in their ALEKS personalized pie. That's a great first option. A second option would be to assign them maybe to work on the performance task. And again, they could work on that in small groups if you wanted them to be able to do that. But then the other thing that those students could do, if you go to the lesson level and you look underneath additional resources and scroll down, for your students who have already learned it, you might give them the extension activity that's there. For these students who have not yet learned it, when we see that they're not ready to learn it yet, if they're ready to learn it, they know the prerequisites. When you teach your lesson that day, they're going to be fabulous. They're going to be right there with you. They're going to get it. If you want to show example of one of those, you just can click the topic that's here and it will actually give you as many examples of a topic that you might want to see. You've got example after example after example that you could use in addition to the great ones that are inside your Reveal book. But if you have students who are missing the prerequisites, simply go to your Reveal experience, look down here underneath additional resources, scroll, and find the review learns and the review examples to review the prerequisite skills. And then if they're still struggling after you've done the prerequisite skills and you've done the lesson that's inside the book, keep in mind that that's where these Take Another Look mini lessons are a reteaching or a teaching in a different way of the objectives in the lesson. So sometimes teachers will assign these Take Another Look mini lessons for students to do because these also contain additional instruction. Sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's kind of a step through. I'm going to click the arrow that's here. They're going to learn and apply in several different ways. They're going to get some great instruction on the topic. And then at the very end, and my 11th slide that's here, there is actually going to be an assess step that's here for them. So once you've assigned these to students to do, that you would get, there's 3 questions that here, you would get a report that lets you know whether the students have kind of, whether they have an understanding of what you taught that day. So take another look, support today's lesson. Review, learn, and review example, support the understanding of the of the prerequisites of the lesson. Now, while we're here, I do want to allow a few minutes at the very end for questions, but I do want to show you underneath reports that's here, you will see student progress report over time. So as we look at this, you can see how much time your students have been in ALEKS. If you choose any one individual student that's there, you can see that individual student's progress over time. So at the initial knowledge check, she was considered probably one of my advanced students because she knew 33% of the topic. These progress knowledge checks are the things that the system has automatically triggered for the students to do. Then I scheduled one for the students to do. And then these are the ones that the students have done that the system did after 5 hours and 20 topics. And you can see that her course mastery has grown. To maneuver back, I'm going to click class in this upper left-hand corner. And I can see that there are a wide variety of reports. Time and topic will show you every single click that students have made, how much time they've spent. So again, if I look at Jill, I can see when I look at Jill's time and topic report, I can see that on Monday, she was in ALEKS for 1 hour and 41 minutes. She didn't learn any new topics and she tried 6 but didn't learn them. What on earth happened with Jill that day? Well, I can click on this bar and it will show me the time at which she started a topic, how much time she spent trying to learn that topic, and what her click pattern was. So in this case, I can see that she got 1 wrong, she got 1 right. She got 3 in a row incorrect, got an explanation. So you can see everything that's here. And this is why I tell teachers all the time, have your students keep a tab in their binder for where they do their ALEKS work, or maybe you have them get a composition book where they put all of their work for ALEKS, because then you could pull Jill to the side and you could say, bring me your book or your composition book, and I want to see this problem that's right here. I can see the exact problem that she was presented with, the exact answer that she submitted, and what the correct answer was that went along with it. So you can see every single click that your students made, how much time they spent on any one of those topics, and you can see how they have done. This one is just an indicator that she took a progress knowledge check. So that was the system had pre-generated a knowledge check for her. So that's why it looks like she didn't kind of answer any questions. But it gives you a really good indication as to what your students are doing in their during their time in ALEKS. You also can take a look at their standards tracking all the way throughout as well. So if I look over reports, I can take a look at any of the standards that are there, how they're spending their activity time, and those types of things. A couple of questions that come up are here most of the time are, what if my students already did the initial knowledge check? What if your kids already did the initial knowledge check and they didn't do it very well? They didn't really try. They could have those 489 topics to work through. Or if you wanted to, you can go to the assignments tab. You can go to assignments and you can, at any time, you can trigger a new assignment, and you can we'll talk at another time about time and topic goals, but you can schedule a knowledge check for your students. So a progress knowledge check focuses on topics that they've been working on recently. It's about 20 questions. But if your students, if you have students who have already been in here and they didn't really take the comprehensive knowledge check, that initial knowledge check carefully, they didn't do their best, you can actually do a comprehensive knowledge check, which is all of the questions that they have done in the course. Little note for you about that comprehensive knowledge check. When students do that, you will see at the very bottom of the screen that students can answer the question, or they can say, I don't know. At some point in time during the initial knowledge check for your students, they will have to click the button that says, I don't know, unless they've already mastered everything in Algebra 1 or whatever your course is that you've started them in. If they've mastered everything, then they'll never have to click, I don't know. But please, please, please let your students know that when they do the initial knowledge check, it's okay to click, I don't know. It's better to put in an answer that's close and get it wrong because they're not getting a grade for it. But it's that everybody will have to hit I don't know at some point in time unless they've already mastered the class. So you can trigger a whole one if you just want to, maybe you started the year off and they didn't do very much, but you want to trigger a comprehensive knowledge check. It's also a good idea to do a comprehensive knowledge check maybe about once a marking period, because then that will bundle in not only what they've been working on when they're in their personalized path, which is this progress knowledge check, but it'll also bring in everything they've learned while they're with you. What happens if it was just one student who was not doing their best work on that initial knowledge check? You could actually look at Karen, or you pull up any one of those individual students, you go to assignment and you just request a knowledge check. So it's really easy to assign it to the whole class if you need to. It automatically does the initial knowledge check with your kids when they first log in. But if you need to request another one, you can. Or if you want to request it on an individual student basis, you can do that. The other question that I get from teachers a lot is, my students have been working in ALEKS and it asked for a knowledge check and there's only 5 minutes left in class. I don't want them to start it right now. You can always go pull up the name of the student who was asked to do a knowledge check. You can go under assignments and you can delay that knowledge check for your students. So it's a really great way to do that. So I've shown you a whole lot. I do plan to answer your questions, but I also want you to know, and we're going to drop into the chat, we're going to drop in a handout for you, but I want you to know that if you go to ALEKS.com and you click on support, let me get that little part out of there, and I click on support, you can get ALEKS support. And when you look at the ALEKS support part that's there, as soon as it comes up, there we go. All right, so I can see if I look underneath my usage and training, there are all sorts of topics that are here, but I actually wanted to show you a different place because I thought that would take me there. Instead, when I go to ALEKS.com, I can click right here where it says K-12, and I'm going to go to the training center. That's really where I want to be. And inside the training center, it opens to ALEKS, and I want to show you. This is an ALEKS overview session for those of you who are getting started with ALEKS. So I gave you a little bit of a taste. This is kind of a little bit deeper dive of what I did. This is a much deeper dive, and this one's really phenomenal. But as I scroll down, I want you to see this, the videos and tutorials by topics. How do you get started? How do you use ALEKS with Reveal Math, which is kind of what you came to learn today, but this will give you a little bit different voice that goes along with it. How to use your reports. And I want to show you, this is the underneath administrator resources. We are dropping into the chat right now a what to look for in the ALEKS classroom, and you can get to it right here as well. But teachers always ask me, what does it look like? How should I be doing it? We're doing ALEKS in my class. This just kind of shows different models of what the teachers are doing and students are doing within the first couple of weeks. The teacher actions and the student ownership, it tells you what those little pieces are. And as I scroll down, I see that after 3 to 10 weeks, so it kind of changes exactly what we're doing in the classes. So that's always a teacher favorite that's there. And the other teacher favorite, as I scroll back up, sorry about that scrolling, is this area right here on engagement and motivation. How do we kind of set goals and how do we encourage students to do their absolute best in ALEKS? So those are some of the key places that you will want to go. Some things offer a video, some things offer just a written tutorial, some offer both. But again, how did I get to that one more time? If I go to ALEKS.com, if you want to take it for a test drive on your own, if you click right here where it says free trial, you can try it. You want to choose the side that says instructors and administrators, and you can try either the student mode or the instructor module. If you want to get to those support resources that I just showed you, if you click right here where it says K-12, scroll to the bottom where it says Training Center, and then you will see that there are some pre-recorded videos, plus you're getting this video of our session today. And then you'll see videos and tutorials by topics. And this is whether or not you log in being via single sign-on, which is an option that we have, or if your students are going through my.mheducation.com, or for some of you, your students might be logging in directly going to ALEKS.com. Just a little bit of a difference in some of those little resources, but many of them are exactly the same. So with that, we are at the end of our time, but I will stay on and answer any additional questions that anyone has. But thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Shelley. That was a wonderful session. Thanks a lot. I guess this is a good time to drop in questions for Shelley. I've seen one come in and I'll ask her now, but if you guys have any questions at all, pop them in the Q&A box or the chat box and we'll pick them up. So this one says, excuse me, madam, this program for solving math problems, if we let the students use it, they will write the answers only. How can I know they've understood the lesson? I think that's a good one.
And it is a good one. And that is why I always say I love having these little like composition books, especially the ones if they have graph paper in them, are wonderful because then the students still have to show their work inside here. And that's why, so they get that kind of instant feedback, but it's really important for kids to realize if they're not writing anything down and you as a teacher, you go in and you look at their oh, and I already got out of that part that's there. But if you were to go in and look at their PI report or their time and topic report, and you looked and they said, well, I'm not doing good at, solving equations with variables on both sides. And you say, well, let me see what you did. Well, if it's blank, all I can do is kind of reset that and give you an assignment on doing it all over again. So it's really important that the students realize that they still need to have kind of a composition book or a tab in their binder where they are showing their work that goes along with it. But the other great thing is that the questions are what I like to say are not most of the time not photomathable. So hopefully students aren't utilizing other resources to answer questions. But that also brings me to a really good key point from my own children who have been in this. They will tell you that there is no reason, and they told their friends too, there is no reason to ever try to game ALEKS because the content gets incrementally more difficult as the students answer questions. So if the students are utilizing a cell phone or an app and answering questions, it says, oh, you knew that really well and really quickly, so I'm going to move it to here, and I'm going to move it to here, and I'm going to move it to here. And if the kids are, in what my own son told his friends is, if you're cheating in ALEKS, you're cheating yourself out of having your own personalized teacher, your own personalized cheerleader saying, oh my gosh, let's keep going. You've built on this. Let's keep going because it's just going to keep pushing. All content from third grade through pre-calculus topics are in ALEKS. So if you have a student in seventh grade who's gaming the system by utilizing an outside resource, whether it's a phone, whether it's a chat GPT, or whether it's mom or dad, they may end up all of a sudden finding themselves that they're in a course that they are not quite ready for. But I also want to show you from a teacher standpoint, one of the things you can do, that screen's not there, but if you have kids and you suspect that they have had unusual learning, maybe on Sunday or Saturday, they did a whole lot of math that really wasn't humanly possible, you could always request a knowledge check, request a progress knowledge check, and if they have indeed learned it, their pie fills out. If they haven't learned it, all that little extra shading that's there goes right back to where they were. So the kids learn early on that it's not really beneficial to game their way through ALEKS. So thanks for that question. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
Thank you. No, I'm glad you covered that in detail. It really helps. Oh yes, so some has responded back, the same person who has asked the question, to say thank you, Miss Shelley, for everything.
You are
Glad we
very
answered
welcome.
that. Yeah, I'm glad that there was a response you were looking for. Any questions for Shelley now? Okay, looks like we're all good. I know someone said, gave their email address and said, please get in touch. I want to know more about the add-on. So I'm also dropping my email right here. So in case you want to get in touch with me or anything at all, let me know. That's serish.chuja@mh education. We do hold for one face-to-face, because one of the question was, do you hold in-person trainings? I would love Shishali to come to Dubai, to be honest.
I've gotten to come once already. I did get to come. I was in Dubai back in before kind of the world shut down. I was
Yeah.
there in December of 2019. So I would absolutely love to come back anytime.
Yes, we'd love to have Shari and Shelly and do a, a one-to-one. I'm not in Abu Dhabi. Our school is in I'm not in Dubai. Our school is in Abu Dhabi. That's fine. We cover all of UAE. In fact, not just UAE, around Middle East. So if you're in Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, that's all okay. But thank you so much, Shirley, for joining us. And this brings us towards the end of our webinar series for a lesson walkthrough. Today was the last one. Thank you so much, everyone who joined us for the session. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I've dropped my email address, and we will send you the recording of the session along with the handout that Shelly has shared. And you'll also get your certificate via email. Thanks again. Have a lovely evening. Thank you, Shelly. Have a great day. I appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.